In news this week, conflicting responses from Christians to Europe's migrant crisis. Iraqi Christian militias only agree on one thing: defeat ISIS. And a US pastor lives out his sermon.
This is InFocus Christian News and Current Affairs.
Hello, I'm so glad you could join us this week. We've got a jam-packed InFocus program prepared for you, including politics from Canberra, the facts about walnuts from Sue Rad, and a great interview with a young guy who's experienced incredible changes in his life. You could describe it as being from gangs to God.
Sounds great, Kent. Time for the news then?
Oh, yes, Sybil.
After a major 24-year study, researchers have found clear evidence identifying which fruit and vegetables help with weight loss. The basic problem, which people instinctively know but often ignore, is that it's easy to eat and drink more than the body needs for its daily energy supply. The solution, according to the study published by the Public Library of Science, is to focus on high-fibre foods with a low sugar content. Good examples are berries, apples, soy products, cauliflower, and cruciferous and green leafy vegetables. High-fibre foods increase the feeling of being full, and lower GI foods are less likely to lead to hunger from sudden drops in blood sugar. At the other end of the scale are starchy vegetables, including corn, peas, and potatoes, which researchers found contributed to weight gain.
The advantages of a plant-based diet have been known since biblical times. It was Hippocrates that said, "Let food be a medicine." Modern science is now establishing over and over again the advantages of fruit and vegetables in our diet, for weight loss, for so many other medical conditions.
As many Europeans are feeling overwhelmed by the hundreds of thousands of refugees and other migrants streaming into their territory, some church leaders are calling for a halt. According to Press TV, the head of the Orthodox Church in Bulgaria has expressed concern about a so-called invasion of Muslims, which he warned may culminate in the end of the Bulgarian state. In many parts of Europe, however, church organizations are at the forefront of efforts to assist the migrants from Syria, Africa, and elsewhere. A multicultural group of Adventists from the UK has been providing emergency supplies to an informal refugee camp of 5,000 people in Calais who are hoping to be admitted to Britain.
Are regions of wasteland inhabited by refugees determined to cross the English Channel to a more permanent settlement. The makeshift shelters are barely sufficient to ensure protection from the weather, let alone safety. They rely on the kindness of charities for even one meal a day.
A Christian businessman from Egypt is working towards his own creative solution for Europe's migrant crisis. Telecommunications and media magnate Naguib Sawiris said he's in the market to buy a Mediterranean island where fleeing refugees can establish their own new society. According to news.com.au, Mr. Sawiris is currently in negotiations with the private owners of 2 Greek islands. The Coptic Christian billionaire says he's been approached by the UN's refugee agency to work cooperatively on the strategy. And if you think it's easy being a refugee, the Adventist Development and Relief Agency in Canada has a challenge worth taking. ADRA Canada is supplying standard refugee camp rations to people wanting to understand the refugee experience and do a bit of fundraising.
This is my breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
The ration packs supply the bare minimum of an average person's daily nutritional needs: 450 grams of grains, 50 grams of beans or legumes, 50 grams of vegetable oil, and 5 grams of salt.
I made it through work. I'm home now, though I feel zapped of energy. I don't know how these people can do it every day, all day. It's hard. Then again, maybe I'm just a wimp. No, it's hard.
Despite the ever-present threat of ISIS to the very existence of Christians in Iraq, the handful of armed Christian groups defending their land are struggling with political differences. According to the Nakash website, each of the 3 Assyrian Christian militia groups has allied itself with a different faction: the Kurdish Peshmerga, the Shiite Resistance, and the Assyrian Independence Party, respectively. For now, each of the Christian militias is at war with their common enemy, ISIS. But it's already clear that even if ISIS is defeated, the Assyrians' traditional lands on the Nineveh Plains will continue to be a hotly contested region on the border of the emerging nation-state of Iraqi Kurdistan. Like the ancient biblical prophets Ezekiel and Hosea, a church pastor in Maryland, USA, is not just preaching sermons, but living them out in his life. For a 49-day period, Adventist pastor Tim Madding is spending 7 days without a series of 7 basic human needs.
I'm not taking a tent, I'm taking my sleeping bag and a tarp in case it rains. I have no idea where that will be. I'm staying at a shelter, and I'll be sleeping in my car. I'm taking only $20 of cash.
Pastor Madding has already spent 7 days being homeless and 7 days without shoes. Coming up is 7 days without food, clean water, speech, freedom, and health.
The church of the last days must be receiving a fresh outpouring of the Spirit in their life so that the love and character of Jesus is illuminating from them. And it is illuminating from them by how they use the resources God has given to them to be a blessing to the least of these.
And that's the news for this week. Wow, that's what I call commitment to your sermon topic.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Sibel. What does the Bible say? Something about being not just hearers of the word, but doers of the word? I'll tell you what, I reckon it'd be hard not to be inspired into action by a sermon like that, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Hey, stay with us. Politics in Focus is coming up straight after the break.
So you think you've got your future all planned out, right? Or maybe you're not sure yet. What you want to do, who you want to be. A great education matters. Avondale. It's education designed for life.
Hi, welcome back. And joining us now from the nation's capital is Lyle Shelton from the Australian Christian Lobby. How have you been, Lyle?
I've been really well, thanks, Kent.
Now, Lyle, I think we'd have to all agree that there's no place for bullying in Australian schools, but you and a number of other organisations have raised some concerns about the Safe Schools anti-bullying program. What's going on there?
Yeah, this is extraordinary, this program, Kent. As you say, there's no place for bullying of anyone in our schools. No child should be bullied at school for any reason. But the so-called Safe Schools program goes way beyond this and teaches some pretty extreme things to young people and promotes what would seem to be an extreme sexual ideology. For instance, the program contains information for young girls on 7 ways to bind your chest so that your breasts won't develop. And it even says that this might be harmful or even lethal. Now, we've taken this to the federal government who funds the program and said this is extreme, this shouldn't be a part of any school curriculum.
Okay, now it's interesting, Lyle, that you say that, because I think Rodney Croom from Tasmania says, hey, listen, there's no sexual content in the Safe Schools program whatsoever, and what you're saying is misinformation, Lyle. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, well, Rodney Croom, of course, is a prominent activist for changing the definition of marriage, but he's wrong in his assertions, and I've taken this to the Assistant Education Minister and shown him that the Safe Schools Coalition material tells young people to access the Minus 18 website, which contains the material I've just described, as well as much other sexual information about experimenting with different sexual practices which are way outside the mainstream, and also telling young people that sexually transmitted infections are no big deal. This is the material that Safe Schools tells young people to access. It's in over 400 Australian schools at the moment, and we're running a campaign to raise awareness and to encourage the federal government not to fund it, and to encourage state governments not to allow access to this extreme material to be exposed to our young people.
Okay, could it be just a simple matter of taking those links to that objectionable material out and the rest of the Safe Schools program could stand as it is?
Well, we asked them to do that, and that the government has refused. But even the Safe Schools material itself, its main brochure is of a boy dressed in a girl's school uniform, encouraging boys, if they think they might be a girl, to wear the uniform of their choice, for the schools to allow them to go to the girls' toilet, to sleep in girls' dormitories if they're on school camps. This is very extreme material, and we're really surprised that any government has allowed it into Australian schools, and we want people to be aware of it, and we want it defunded and taken out, and for proper anti-bullying programs to be in place that don't carry some sort of extreme ideology with them.
Boy, you've raised some very interesting concerns there, Lyle. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. Thanks for your time this week.
Pleasure, Kent. Thanks for having us.
And now it's over to Food in Focus.
Yeah, thanks, Sue. It's just tremendous. Think about it. I've got a walnut crusher here, and we've got 5 walnuts, and Sue's told me that 5 walnuts is the daily serve.
That's it.
I haven't used this crusher. Here we go.
You've got to hold
Something happened to it. But while we're attempting this,
or 9 walnut halves,
oh, so you've got the
grams.
walnut halves on there.
That's a good amount to aim for every day.
Yes, it's like brain food, isn't it? Because
Absolutely.
the walnut bits are... I'm going to... Look, there it is, folks. It's coming out here. But here's a beautiful, perfect half.
Yes.
And you did this exquisitely before the program. It just looks like a little brain, doesn't it?
And similarly to the brain, James, walnuts contain 72% of their fats as polyunsaturated fatty acids.
That's the good fat?
Yes, and it's the fat that enables messages to get through in the brain, which is why the brain is so high in PUFAs.
And they're also stacked with polyphenols?
Polyphenols, yes. You've probably heard about polyphenols in fruits and vegetables, but did you know nuts are loaded with polyphenols, particularly if you leave their pellicule on, that's the outer brownish skin, and walnuts in particular have twice the amount of polyphenols of any other nut.
What's going to happen to me because I ate it?
Your blood vessels will relax more, your blood pressure will be benefited. Your blood glucose levels can improve if you eat nuts with another carbohydrate food, and definitely it's going to help to lower your cholesterol level. But the area I'm particularly interested in at the moment, James, is the brain.
The memory.
The memory. And many studies, particularly the ones looking at the Mediterranean diet, if you eat nuts as part of a plant-based diet, such as the Mediterranean diet, they have shown that walnuts can improve your memory and your thinking. So your cognition, and they've also shown, seems to be,
have to crunch it.
that they may actually prevent or delay the onset of neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and other types of dementia. Yes, I'm particularly interested in nuts because of their benefits for the brain.
But walnuts are just so fantastic.
They are, they're so versatile.
Yes, now what I'm really keen on is Sue's husband. What's his name?
Nicholas.
Nicholas!
Yes.
He cooked this beautiful walnut sausage. Walk us through the sausage.
He did. So instead of giving kids
actually, I'm going to dip it in a bit of tomato sauce. He won't mind.
Go for it. Made from junk food, why not make them from walnut meat? So you can grind up your walnuts and add some other goodies and season them, and makes a beautiful sausage roll that adults and kids love alike.
Delicious.
Delicious. It is, it is. Now, there are some other ways that you could eat walnuts that don't often strike one immediately. But for example, in the Middle East, they make this gorgeous dip called muhamra.
Oh, wow, show me
Humra is just there, it looks orangey, and that is made from lots of ground walnuts, it's full of walnuts, and beautiful roasted red capsicums. It's garlic, it's got seasoning.
Can I try some of that?
Yes.
From Syria?
Yes, have a dip of that.
Can I tell folks while I was laughing? Nicholas did not follow Sue Rad's approved recipe. It was a little bit dry, folks. To get the right recipe, you need to go to suerad.com, check out the recipes and find out what's here. It's coming up in the cookbook.
It is coming up shortly in the cookbook. So if people want foodie tips and nutrition tips, feel free to subscribe to the newsletter, because when the cookbook becomes available, we'll let you know.
I'm going to try this from Syria.
Try the muhamra.
Cheers, Nicholas.
Gorgeous.
They put tears in my eyes.
What do you think? It is so
nice.
robust in flavour, and it is a fabulous way to use lots of walnuts. But besides dips and things like that, if somebody popped on over to your place for a hot drink or something, instead of opening up a packet of biscuits, why not give them walnuts with dates?
Oh, it's a snack.
We've mentioned some of these ideas before, but you can stuff fresh medjool dates with anything, including beautiful fresh walnuts. Now that looks so much more attractive, and it's so much better for you than those jolly biscuits that are highly processed. They're an ultra-processed food full of all the nasties. So that's another delicious thing.
Very nice.
Finally, James, I want to show you something that they do in the Mediterranean, particularly on the island of Crete.
This is the
to eat walnuts. Yes.
Okay.
What they do when it's a really hot day, they have a small amount of yogurt with walnuts on top, and they drizzle just a small amount of beautiful thyme honey. And this is so delicious. You could serve this up as dessert when guests arrive unannounced.
Sue, you always make me smile when you come on the show. Sue's releasing a cookbook very shortly. Do go to SueRad.com, find out when the cookbook's coming out, and can I try this now?
Absolutely. Okay. You'll love the recipes. Good for you, and with lots and lots of flavour.
I can't stop.
It is delicious, isn't
Thanks, Sue. Thanks, Nicholas. Beautiful.
Unearth ancient civilizations with archaeological diggings. This bi-monthly magazine will keep you up to date with news and insights from the fascinating world of archaeology. Subscribe online or ask for archaeological diggings at your newsagent.
Hi, welcome back. Well, if you've had anything to do with Alcoholics Anonymous, you would have probably heard the expression rock bottom. It's at rock bottom that we're ready to turn to God, and we're ready to listen to what He has to say to us. And that's pretty much the experience that Josh Gonzalez had. How you doing, Josh?
Good, how are you, Ken?
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, yeah.
Now, Josh, you're a local boy from Sydney here, which is, one of the world's beautiful cities, but it also has a sort of a dark underbelly, isn't it? And you got involved in that as a young guy.
Yeah, I did, just through some bad choices. I was raised in a Christian home, and went to church all my life, but I look back now and I realise I never really had my own personal, close relationship with Jesus. And when I got older, like a lot of young people do, get very attracted to the world. And in my case in particular, it was through music, rap music. So I started listening to it at a very young age, and just got amazed by the culture and got drawn into it, And
it turned out you're quite a talented rapper yourself.
Yeah, I found that out just after I had left high school. I started, a few of my friends that I grew up with were in a group, and the people that I knew were doing rap, and kind of saw it and I said, I think I could do that. And when you're in rap, especially, the kind of rap I was trying to do.
What sort of themes were your rap conversations?
I wanted to be a gangster, and when you want to be a gangster, you want to have people around you that kind of portray that image. So you end up inviting people into your life and into your surroundings that portray that image. And
so it gives you credibility, doesn't it?
It does,
To talk about crime and drugs and street slang and all that sort of stuff.
And it's a sad thing because I see a lot of, I look back at my experience and I see a lot of young people kind of following in the same footsteps, got involved in something that I never wanted to be involved in, from the beginning. And yeah, it got to a point where I was like, man, I'm kind of gotten myself in deep a little bit here.
Yeah, but it seemed that like Jesus hadn't finished with you. He reached out with a series of, and you wouldn't sort of think this would be a guy involved in streets and rap and that sort of stuff, but it was Bible prophecy that grabbed you.
Yeah, interestingly enough, a friend of mine that that was in the group that I was in received some pamphlets in his mailbox to go see a prophecy seminar, and during that time in my life I was a bit of a conspiracy theorist myself, and he saw some symbols on the pamphlet of like pyramids and things, and he's like, Josh, you know about this stuff, come with me. And I really didn't want to go with him. I actually declined 3 times to go, and he was persistent, and I ended up going with him, and I went, and it was a Christian that was presenting. It was I think it was called the Ancient Mystery Religions, and the presenter offered to do some Bible studies with me. So he came to my house and we did a number of studies, and I was really convicted by the stuff that I had learned. I said I need to make some changes in my life, and I had to let go of some things in my life, but there were some things...
the drugs, the alcohol, that
drugs,
sort of stuff?
Alcohol, I was involved in a gang, and I needed to leave that part of my life back because I wanted to follow Jesus. Basically, the issue with me was that I was doing music though, and I had been doing rap for a few years now, and I was doing rap, kind of gangster rap, and I wanted to let go of things, but not everything, because I wanted to hold on to my music. And I had convinced myself that I was called to be like a positive light in this like dark world of rap music, you know?
Yeah, because there is a stream of hip-hop, isn't it? It's like positive hip-hop.
There is, yeah. I was never really convicted to do Christian rap, but I just wanted to do positive rap, you know? And I still wanted to make it, you know, in the rap music industry world, you know. So I started doing positive rap, but the problem was with that is that while I remained in this music scene, I was constantly coming across alcohol and drugs and women and all of these temptations. And I was in a committed relationship, and I was just constantly being tempted all the time. And I just found that my experience was, you know, I'd stop drinking, I'd start drinking, I'd stop smoking, I'd start smoking, and it was just always constant battles, you know.
Yeah, so it seems like the devil hadn't finished with you either. He kept trying to pull you back.
One of my cousins, unfortunately, had a situation where a cousin of mine went out one night, got into a fight, and ended up dying as a result.
Wow.
And that just kind of set me off, because I don't think I was ready, or maybe I was, but I didn't seek God the way I should have. Instead I got angry with God as well. I questioned God, and I made a decision after having, you know, stopped smoking and drinking for a while now. Out of anger, I decided to drink on the day of the funeral, because I was so emotionally just messed up. And that was a terrible decision. You know, they say, you know, give the devil an inch and he'll be your ruler, you know. I literally did that because after that happened, I just went out of control.
Wow.
I never had such a problem with alcohol and marijuana in particular that I did after that.
Wow.
And I was married now. I had a baby as well at home, and I was coming home, you know, 3, 4 in the morning, drunk, stoned. My wife, I praise God that she stuck by me, you know. But yeah, I put her through a lot, and she almost left me a couple of times. I had a great job, and I was on my very last warning because my lifestyle was affecting my work. This
is the rock bottom we're talking about.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm getting there because you know, every part of my life is just starting to crumble. The interesting thing was that my music, my worldly music, was better than ever. It's like the devil wanted me to succeed at all costs, you know, and the greatest cost of all, my spiritual life.
Kept dangling that carrot.
Yeah, you know, I was at the point now where people were talking about offering me a recording contract. I had people in South America that wanted me to go on a tour, you know, around Latin America. And I was concentrating so much on my music that I was neglecting my family and every other aspect. And most importantly, I was neglecting God. So all my good parts of my life were all just messed up.
So how did God get hold of you at that point?
Well, what happened is one night I was out recording a video, and some of my friends from my past life, the one that I had left behind because I wanted to be a Christian, had seen that I wasn't living up to what I said I was going to do. And, you know, I had been receiving threats here and there. And one night, basically...
For leaving the gang, or...?
Yeah. And one night, it basically caught up to me, you know, where by God's grace and through a bunch of miracles that happened...
This was a high-speed car chase
through
Western Sydney,
involved. I was being chased, you know, by people with weapons and people that, like, literally would have done some serious damage to me if they got a hold of me. By God's grace, I managed to leave unscathed that night. But it really kind of shook me up. And
I can imagine.
About a week after that had happened, I was sitting at home in my room, and I was by myself, and I was sober as well for the first time in ages, because I had no money to like buy anything. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like contemplating everything that's happening to me, and I'm thinking about my life. I'm thinking about where it's at. I'm thinking about the fact that my life is being threatened. All the good parts of my life are just messed up. You know, I'm like literally at the lowest point. And as I'm sitting there, I start hearing this voice in my head saying, you know, if you weren't around, Josh, there wouldn't be any more problems. You know, just this voice that's telling me just you want the easy way out is just take your life. And as I'm there, I look at my wife's desk. She had a desk in our room, and she had a Bible on the desk. And I'm looking at this Bible and I'm thinking, you know, it's kind of like calling out to me, right?
Read me.
Yeah, it's like I'm here, kind of like, it's like a light kind of thing that's kind of getting brighter. And I'm thinking, there's no way God's going to take me back after everything I've done. You know, I'm like, no, I can't go there. And as I'm trying to block out this Bible, this light, this voice, whatever it was, it just gets louder and gets brighter. And I don't know how it happened, Ken, but I found myself just on my knees, and I was just pouring my heart out to God, and I'm saying, Lord, look what I've done with my life. And I'm like, I don't even know if you're listening to me, God. I don't even know if you're listening. But if you are, please give me a sign, because if you're not here for me now, if I can't be okay with you, if I don't have any hope with you, that's my only other option, you know? And I'm just begging him for a sign. And I remember I opened up my eyes from the prayer, and I noticed now for the first time next to the Bible, there was this Bible study guide that my wife had that is given to church every you know, when they go to church. And something just like a voice just clearly said to me, open up that book, your answer is there. And I'm like, okay, I just kind of like a robot found myself walking towards this thing, not even thinking. I opened that study guide up, and right there, the lesson for that week where I had opened it up to was the story of the prodigal son.
Wow.
And that just, man, I just fell on my knees. I knew that story. I knew that's a story about, you know, a son who had rejected the father, who had left home, who had gone and done his own thing. And now when he needed his father and he wanted to come back, the father ran with open arms, hugged him, put his robe around him.
Wow.
That was the first time in my whole life that I had had a personal encounter with Jesus. I felt God's love in a way I had never felt before. And I was crying, man. I was just on my knees. I was crying, and God had answered me.
So now you're actually studying to be a pastor yourself.
I'm studying to be a pastor. Look, what God did from that moment was, Ken, he just completely restored everything.
Wow.
My marriage became a real marriage, because Jesus became, you know, part of that marriage now. He became the third person in our relationship. He restored my family to the point where they started coming to church because of what had happened to me.
Praise God.
I got a better job, but then, after some time, God put me into full-time ministry. I'm currently now studying at Adventist to be a minister because I feel the calling in my life, you know.
Wow. Hey, thanks so much, Josh. I really appreciate you sharing your story with us. It's, you know, an incredible miracle and an incredible way to, you know, give glory to God, you know, through what He's done through you. Yeah. Thanks so much for your story, mate.
Thanks for the opportunity to share what Jesus has done. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Hey, stay with us. We'll be back straight after the break.
Signs of the Times, a magazine for a world on the brink. And this month in Signs, after 6,000 years, is God's Sabbath still on the right day? Sacrificing the concept of self for a better community. Sugar, you're probably consuming more than is good for you. The special God-given talents you may not know you have. All in this month's Signs of the Times. Subscribe to Signs today and change your life.
Hello, well, Kent, it looks like our time is up.
Yes, it just goes so fast, doesn't it?
Yep.
I'm missing it already. But if you'd like to visit our website, you can be informed and inspired by InFocus all over again because all our videos are there.
Record.net.au. And of course, we'd love to hear your news tips or your responses to the stories and issues you've seen raised on Record in Focus.
You can stay in touch via email, Facebook or Twitter. The details are right there on your screen.
It's been great having your company this week. We'll see you next time on Record in Focus.
God bless.